Today it's all about KEF. This is part 2. I will link to part 1 of the KEF Q series Q550 tower speaker. It's the smallest of the Q series towers. There's also the Q750 and the Q950. Those are more expensive, obviously, but the Q550 is the star attraction today. So it's got a UniQ mid-range tweeter. That's a concentric driver that KEF is famous for, the UniQ. It's a 5¼ inch aluminum mid-range, and in the center there, concentrically mounted, is a 1-inch aluminum dome. But below that, you see those 3 other drivers. They look like woofers, but only one of the 3 is the actual woofer, the one in the center. The one on the top of it and below it, those are passive radiators. So at first I thought this, oh wow, it's a sealed box acoustic suspension speaker design. But it isn't. It's actually, well, it's a bass reflex, but through passive radiators. Look at the back, you'll see only one set of binding posts. I mean, by-wire connectors are kind of common nowadays, but for whatever reason or another, KEF went with a single set of connectors. It's fine with me. By-wire, schmy-wire, does it really make a difference? Sometimes yes, usually no. But this puppy here, the Q550, it's the first thing you realize when you listen to the speaker with any sustained attention is that it's a very balanced sounding speaker. Bass, mid, highs, nice and even, very smooth sounding speaker. Now I did in part 1 of this 2-part KEF Q550 review. In part 1 I compared it to the famous, the KEF LS50 stand mount speaker, which came out in 2012. That also has a UniQ, but that's just a stand mount speaker with just a UniQ. And I would say the LS50 sounds like a smaller speaker because it is a smaller speaker, no doubt about that. KEF sounds more coherent. It's more 3D, more holographic in its imaging, but pretty much and I would say it maybe, I was going to say more refined, maybe, I'm not sure, but I'll tell you one thing for sure, is the Q550 sounds like a bigger speaker, and it is, right? It makes more bass, and really, really great quality bass. It's much more dynamically alive. It has more life to the sound. The LS50 can sound kind of tap down a little bit. That's not as much of an issue with the Q550. So they're almost the same price because the LS50 is usually going for around $1,300. These towers are going for $1,200. If bass is a priority and want to fill a larger room, the Q550 would be a better way to go. If you're in a small room and you're going to be listening more near field, yeah, the LS50 would probably be the better way to go. But they're comparable to each other, except that they're different in the ways that I just described. Andrew's recording the river echo locations, meaning he was actually standing or near a river when he recorded a lot of this, and it uses space and the sound of the water, and it's a very spatial recording. And the Q550s really did a great job, elucidating those spaces and shapes and dimensionality of this recording. Really, really impressive. Now the thing is, it's not an audiophile recording. After he made these on-location recordings, Andrew went to a studio and then processed them and treated them and did all kinds of wacky stuff to them. But the essence of that, of using the space of the original location, is there in the recording, and the Q550 did a marvelous job pulling them out. Now the other thing, this was CDs, I played other CDs, and there was that speed, tightness. It's a very transient, rich sort of sound, very detailed. I almost forgot to mention what I was using with the Q550s. I started with the Cambridge AXA35 stereo integrated amp. It's $350, 35 watts a channel. Perfectly nice, perfectly serviceable, just lacking a little bit in the oomph department and dynamics. It was okay, but it's an inexpensive integrated amp. So I moved up a lot. So it switched over to the Mytek Liberty, which is a DAC slash preamp, and that was teamed with a Mytek Brooklyn amp, which is 250 watts channel, plenty of power. That combination worked really, really well. And, you know, I was switching back and forth. I was playing that. I did a lot of switching here, but those are the main sources. And at some point I was playing records. So I was playing records, and first record up was Judy Collins. It was a live Judy Collins record. And the analogness of it was pretty incredible, because the whole tone character of the speaker changed. The mid-range got juicier, more full-bodied. It was more there. Her acoustic guitar sounded like a wood instrument that it is. It sounded more tonally correct playing records, which just proves that the Q550 is lets the sound speak for itself. You feed it analog, it's going to sound more analog. You feed it digital, it sounds more digital. You go your way, I'll go mine. So it does it all. It doesn't impose its sound on the music. It just lets you hear whatever it is. Then I played some Lee Scratch Perry, the reggae genius. And the thing about reggae over these speakers was it was the texture of the bass. There was a palpable, it had power, it had weight, but it had finesse. Because a lot of times reggae can just sound kind of boomy and thick. But over these speakers, yeah, they may not go to the bottom, but in terms of hearing what the bass player was doing and hear the low drums, it did the Q550s did that stuff really, really well. Now, are they the ultimate in skinny tower speakers? Well, I would say I recently reviewed the Eclipse RP5000 FS. It's a horn speaker, it's Eclipse. So yeah, the Eclipse was more dynamically alive, more vivid, more va-va-voom, more alive. It just had more energy than this. Now the KEF is comparatively laid back. The Eclipse is has more jump factor. You choose whichever you want. Is which one's better than the other? Well, me being me, I would lean towards the Eclipse, but I respect what the KEF was doing here, because it was actually more refined. If you're listening to classical music, a lot of acoustic music, I would direct you over to the KEF over the Eclipse. But if you listen to rock and roll and you want some energy, the Eclipse would be the better way to go. And just because it was also fairly recent, the JBL Stage A170, much less expensive speaker, you know, for a small, skinny tower speaker that retails for around $400, they list for $5, but you can get it for $4. That speaker just had kind of oomph to it. It had surprisingly powerful mid bass, no finesse compared to the Eclipse or the KEF, but if you're looking for a more affordable tower speaker, the JBL Stage A170 definitely deserves consideration. But all in all, the KEF Q550 was a speaker that I really enjoyed spending time with, because it kept surprising me. It was kind of a chameleon. It did different things. It wasn't just a one-trick pony. Imaging, possibly you could attribute that to the UniQ driver. Is precise, it focuses really well, has nice depth. It's a nice speaker. Now, I still think that my samples were finished in white, and I like white speakers generally, but this white with the vinyl finish did not look like $1,200 speakers to me. It'd probably look a little better in black. And while I haven't seen the walnut, which is, I assume, also vinyl, probably the walnut is the best looking one of the three. But if you're considering the speaker, you should lay eyes on them yourself and you decide which one is the most attractive. For you people that think that you can't put speakers with ports near walls, keep thinking that I don't understand that obsession. If you put a speaker with a rear port 6 inches from a wall, it's going to be okay. But putting any speaker near a wall, whether it's ported or not, is not a great idea for sound quality. But in this case, there's no port. If you feel the need to jam your speakers up against a wall, this would be worthy, again, of your consideration. I think I've done it. My name is Steve Guttenberg. This is the Audiophiliac Daily Show, and it has come to you and will continue to come to you 5 or 6 or 7 days a week if I have anything to say about it. And if you like this sort of thing, please, I urge you strongly, subscribe to this YouTube channel, share these videos, give them thumbs up. If you've gotten this far into the video, yes, you know what I'm going to say by now, please check out the Patreon at patreon.com. Say it together, class. Audiophiliac. See you again real soon.